Hey, what's going on everyone? Matthew from TheRightTrader.com back today with another daily crypto update. Today we're going to go over our normal schedule and a more detailed technical analysis on TradingView in just a second. And other than that, we're going to cover what's going on with the general market. We're also going to go over some interesting news pieces today, which are important on a more longer term time frame, but it's definitely a very interesting thing going on, especially with Binance. So the general market is pretty mixed today. As you can see, Bitcoin up slightly over the past 24 hours, not doing that much. Overall, we're still in our consolidation here for a lot of cryptocurrencies. Icon is actually continuing its breakout, which is great to see. And Binance coin definitely in the spotlight today as we got some news. Binance is moving to Malta after outcome of talks with Hong Kong regulators are uncertain, and they want to launch a fiat to crypto exchange soon. Local banks should be able to help with those deposits and withdrawals. So they're going to make it easier for fiat on-ramps. And this is just interesting because it seems to be having a positive effect basically, right, already. As you can see, Binance coin has been moving higher, up 14% over the past 24 hours. And that's because people are liking the fact that Binance is moving away from this drama in Asia and the regulatory uncertainty, and they're moving towards somewhere where it should be just easier for them to do business, maybe allow fiat on-ramps, which would be obviously great for cryptos in general. So definitely a positive bullish news that's pushing Binance coin higher and could be very good for cryptos in the future as well. We also got some news for Nano. It reached its 11th milestone and is now releasing universal blocks. This is just good to see that the Nano team is continuing the positive advancements. Even though the market hasn't been great, they're definitely moving forward on the project and on the tech, and that's always what we want to see. Now, don't forget to check me out on Twitter for live cryptocurrency market updates. Link to that in the description of this video. And also check out my premium content. Also have a link to that in the description of this video. Let's get started with the Bitcoin technical analysis. We're still in our consolidation. We're still trading between $8,000 and $9,000, still in our symmetrical triangle formation as well. Our indicators are looking pretty decent here. We're still in the positive area on the MACD and histogram and a little bounce on the RSI. So we're still holding up well. Same thing with the price, right? We got this really nice, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit, but we got a very nice longer lower wick, which means that buyers did buy up those price levels. With that being said, you can't expect too much, right? We're probably going to continue to consolidate in between $8,000 and $9,000 for the time being, but we are holding up well, and it's much better than before where, you know, the second we had a couple good days, we ended up crashing even lower. So we seem to have escaped that pattern, at least for the time being, and I think that we're going to put in some consolidation. Once that's done, once we reach the end of the formation, hopefully we'll break towards the upside, right? And that'll really allow the market overall to move higher. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. Definitely doing pretty decent as well. We found some support off our previous blue downtrend line, a nice lower wick here. And as for the indicators, slowly but surely start to flatten out, starting to come towards the upside. We still want to get those positive crossovers on all three of them. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that. Maybe we'll get a bounce when that happens. I think we're going to need to consolidate a little bit longer here between $500 and $625, all the way up to maybe $600 and $30. So probably going to still see some consolidation here. We still need some time for the Bollinger Bands and the middle band to flatten out as well. Once that's done, we should be coming up towards the end of our triangle formation, and then that's where we're going to get our breakout either to the downside or upside, and that's what's going to set the trend, right? So we're really waiting on some of these cryptos here to consolidate, especially Bitcoin, of course, the market leader. So Litecoin is doing pretty decent as well. We even have a very slight uptrend now in the making. We'll see if this is able to hold. This is, of course, a shorter-term uptrend because unlike some of the other cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum, as for the Litecoin chart, we are actually fully uptrending here. So we're out of any kind of downtrend for the most part. Depending on how you draw the charts, I guess you could draw one in, a bit of a longer-term one over here. I shouldn't forget about this one. But overall, we do have a lot of, uptrend lines, right? And the short-term one now in the making. So we could be moving higher in the short term actually, which is a little bit surprising. Potentially get some kind of breakout over here near the end of this triangle between the two blue trend lines, or we might move a little bit lower and just trend along the red uptrend line. Either way is fine unless, you know, what we don't want to see is lose this uptrend line support, the red line right over here. As for the indicators, slowly but surely making progress towards the upside. Still want to get our positive crossovers on the MACD and histogram, and we're going to go over towards Nano right now. We have some interesting formations for Nano actually. We are putting in some support at around 90,000 Satoshis. We can't count on that too much because, you know, our next major support for the time being, or relatively major support, is 80,000 Satoshis. And that's the level we want to try to stay above for the time being. If we move below that, it becomes more and more likely that we'll go down to 50,000 Satoshis. For now, we're still fine. We have a bunch of, you know, support and resistance levels here. The chart is getting a bit messy, but what you have to know is, well, we want to make sure we're trading in between. And I'll go ahead and put in this 80,000 Satoshi support level in red. Basically, our two red lines over here, right, our downtrend line and our horizontal support level. Those two trend lines are what we want to make sure we hold above. And as long as we're in this formation, we're still good. We should just put in some consolidation basically, and a break of either of those levels will be where we'll be moving most likely in the future. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Ripple and see what it's been up to. So let's go over to Bittrex here. Now Ripple has been managing to hold up relatively well. It's trying to get back above 65 cents. That is seeming a bit hard. We are flattening out though pretty nicely on the MACD, on the indicators actually, on the MACD and histogram. And RSI is moving a little bit lower, but our Bollinger Bands and middle band are flattening out. So hopefully that will allow the price to not drop too much. And what I want to see here is make sure that we get back above 65 cents as soon as possible. That way we can just consolidate between 65 cents and 84 cents and not really worry about going towards 50 cents or below that, right? Because for now, our next support level is at 50 cents, and a move below that would probably push us down to 30 cents. So that's why we want to make sure to get back above 65 cents. Let's take a look at NEO, and NEO is acting exactly like I said it would. We are trickling down lower along our downtrend line. Not the end of the world. Like I said, that was pretty much what I was expecting. As for the indicators, we are trying to get that positive crossover in the MACD and histogram, but our RSI is downtrending, and that is kind of one of the indications that we're likely not going to get any kind of massive breakout or crossover on this initial move, right? Because if we take a look, this is actually the first attempt since the downtrend has begun. And back over here, if you look, right, first attempts usually fail. So it's looking like that's going to be the case this time around. Our middle band is still downtrending pretty severely, so we still want to see that flatten out. And basically all of this tells us that we're probably going to need to put in some consolidation or move even a little bit lower, maybe closer to $60 before we can put in our consolidation and then, you know, down the line move higher. But for now, it's looking like we're going to probably pull back a little bit, like I said, and definitely consolidate here, I think. So let's take a look at our next crypto. That is going to be Stellar Lumens, and let's see what Stellar has been up to. Let's go over to Stellar here. I'm messing up my typing, but let's take a look. Stellar Lumens, go over to Binance. Now, Stellar has been in an interesting situation here. We've been consolidating between 2,500 and 3,000 Satoshis. We did face a lot of resistance at 3,000 Satoshis, right? And that's also where our middle band is at, so it makes sense. Now, we have been doing pretty good on the indicators, but we're really starting to see them flatten out and lose their uptrend right now, which isn't the end of the world, but it does mean that we're going to probably see more consolidation or maybe even move a little bit lower here. Now, we want to make sure we don't move below 2,500 Satoshis, because at that point, we'll probably be going all the way back down to 2,000 Satoshis pretty quickly. And definitely a possibility right now. We'll have to see, right? We'll know pretty quickly if we're going to get a bounce off that 2,500 Satoshi level. But what I wanted to point out is our lower Bollinger Band is starting to expand towards the downside. And that's something that I'd keep an eye on, because if that starts to happen, then there's a good chance that, you know, there's room basically for the price to move lower. So hopefully we'll really get a bounce soon here for Stellar to avoid any further drop. Let's take a look at Vertcoin, which was surprisingly doing very well yesterday. So let's see if that's continuing now. I should say, not surprisingly, we are facing resistance at our downtrend line. It was looking a little bit too good to be true yesterday, where we were kind of breaking out, you know, and based on the market conditions and everything, it was just very surprising to me. And now we're seeing why. We are pulling back after facing resistance from the downtrend line, As for the indicators, definitely turn more positive, but we're probably going to pull back here and go down to at least $1.92. Probably going to start moving closer to $1.54 as we reach the end of the formation. At best, though, what we might see is basically just some consolidation where we are now, right at around $2.30, and that is definitely a pretty strong possibility of that, because if we look at our Bollinger Bands, they are contracting towards the price. We're currently at the middle of our formation here between $1.54 and $3.23. So definitely a fair chance of us having some consolidation in the middle of our range, which would be a pretty good situation here for Vertcoin. Let's take a look at our next cryptocurrency, which is going to be Lisk. And Lisk has been in an interesting position, got some positive crossovers. Now we're moving back lower. We actually, unfortunately, we're starting to move back below $12.15. That's not what I wanted to see. The good thing, though, is that we do have support at $10, but I don't want us to start moving below that, because then we're probably going to enter some consolidation at $8 mark range, and we want to avoid that as much as possible, right? So if we do end up moving low on this drop, hopefully a nice bounce off that $10 mark. That'll be a triple bottom, which is bullish, but the more times you test a certain area, the more likely it is that you start breaking below it. So it is going to be getting a little bit we're going to start pushing it here for Lisk the more we test this area. And what I should say is the Bollinger Bands, the middle band and the lower Bollinger Band are starting to flatten out. So hopefully that does pan out more pretty quickly, and we end up slowing down the drop, basically consolidating between $10 and $15. To be honest, as long as that happens, we're still fine. We just want to avoid moving below $10, because then we really enter some lower consolidation, right? Let's take a look at our next cryptocurrency, which is going to be Cardano. Let's see what Cardano has been up to. So came up on some resistance at 2,500 Satoshis. We're now moving back towards our lower Bollinger Band and our 2,000 Satoshi support level. What's good is we're still looking pretty good on the MACD and histogram, and I think there's a pretty fair chance that we see a bounce at 2,000 Satoshis unless the rest of the market starts moving significantly lower, just because we are in the process of getting a nice U-shaped bounce on the MACD. And as for the price, and we can see that the Bollinger Bands, middle band are all very tight right now, which should normally, not allow that much room for Cardano to move in and basically continue its consolidation between 2,000 and 2,500 Satoshis. Now, let's take a look at our last crypto, the daily crypto update. That's going to be Iota. And let's see what Iota has been up to. So we're currently in a range between $1.13 and $1.47. MACD and histogram holding up surprisingly well right now. Even got a little bit of a bounce on the RSI. So looking decent on the indicators, and we have our Bollinger Bands that are contracting. Should start to see the middle band flatten out now. Basically, very likely that we see some consolidation between $1.13 and $1.47 at this point. With that being said, this is the end of the daily crypto update. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my premium content and my Twitter. Link to those in the description. I'll see you next time.